All right, hey guys, it's RJ the Fed. We're here with a couple of the boys. We got the Widow Jane Decadence. If you guys want to introduce yourself, and you can hold up your bottle of Decadence as well, Victor, because I know you have a different bottle than I do.
What now?
You want to hold up your bottle and introduce
Oh,
yourself?
oh yeah, yeah. My name is Victor. I'm here to drink some Widow Jane Decadence with RJ and Bud.
However you want to
Hey,
introduce yourself. Yeah.
I'm Aaron. I'm here to drink some Decadence with RJ and Victor.
All right, good. Aaron introduced himself as Aaron. I didn't want to call him Aaron if he didn't want to be known as Aaron.
Good.
All right, we got a fresh cork pop. This is Widow Jane Decadence. This is the 2023 bottle number 670, batch number 38. We don't have a Glen, so we're actually using a rocks glass right now. Poured me up a decent amount. So it's a straight bourbon blend. It's finished in maple syrup barrels. It's a 45.5% alcohol content or 91 proof. Um, I don't know a whole lot about this one. I just know that when I was in Total Wine, I was on the phone with Victor, and Victor said I should pick them. I should pick up more than one. So he was actually the reason why we picked up two. And then Aaron wanted a bottle, so we made a trade. So he has the other one. I believe yours is also batch 38, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a bit different bottle number. Mine's bottle 670. I think yours is like
Yeah,
four something.
mine's 640, batch
640.
38.
So we're 30 bottles away from each other. We probably are the same barrel at that point then.
Yeah, more than likely.
So, oh, okay. Let's see if I can get a nose on this. I am terrible at these. It does have that sweet note. I don't know if I would necessarily go straight to maple syrup unless I like read the bottle. Like if this is a blind, I don't know if I'd go straight to maple syrup. It definitely has like a little bit of oakiness to it, but it's like very mellow. Like the wood's not very forward. It's definitely got that sweet nose to it.
Yeah, I don't get the maple on the nose myself. I get more of a like a brown sugar.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say it's something
Um,
sweet. Brown sugar would probably be closer to what I'm getting too. It just doesn't like knowing that it's maple. Like I'm sure that's really what we're smelling, but like perceived nose,
yeah,
it's not there. Like if it was a blind, I didn't know what this was. I wouldn't be there.
yeah.
What are you smelling, Aaron? Do you smell anything different than like just a sweet note or brown sugar?
Just
Maybe
like slightly sweet, a little bit of oak.
maybe like some caramelized molasses, kind of like that. Not burnt, but like cooking, like that simmering sugar. Like maybe that kind of a smell to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so finished in barrels that held New York's finest artisanal maple syrup from Crown Maple. The result is a rich, creamy, smooth, and slightly sweet mouthful of whiskey flavor that is very beyond good. It's decadent. Interesting statement they want to put on their bottle, but we'll take it. Didn't even realize the little tag hanging off the bottle. I think yours has one on there too. I think I left it on there. It has a Jane's Crown Old Fashioned recipe. I always like when bottles put like a little recipe on what you could use to make like a cocktail with it too, especially for someone who doesn't just drink things neat.
That's an old fashioned. Yeah, but was I get vanilla on that nose too? So it's like that sweet vanilla. Your typical stuff that just a slight bit of oakiness.
Yeah, it smells very pleasant. I'm gonna get into it, get a little taste. All right, now I'm getting it. So like I taste like a lot of the oakiness in the wood. It's very wood forward, but that wood is like drenched, soaking wet, dripping of maple syrup. Like it's just like coming off of it into your mouth, and the mouth feel on this is very pleasant. And it does remind me of like an old timey country breakfast where you've got your stack of pancakes and you got your maple syrup going and you got like the applewood bacon and just really it kind of. I'm not going to sit here and bash breakfast and compare it to Cracker Barrel, but my experience with my grandparents when they were alive, we used to go to Cracker Barrel and if I didn't order like a chicken fried chicken, I would go for their breakfast, and that's kind of where this is hit, and it kind of brings me to that old smoky uh, feeling and setting with the oakiness, but then the sweet flavors of the syrup.
Yeah, I definitely get like a bready pancake, you know, note in there with that, that strong syrup going with it, and just like a almost like a almost like a caramelized drizzle that you would kind of have on top of it as well, making it kind of like a gourmet type pancake from one of these little places that specialize in breakfast. So
They got definitely. It's the sweetness is definitely just right. It's not too much. It's not just a hint of sweetness. It's spot on. It's
Yeah, this is fantastic. You can shout Victor out for this one because I wouldn't have picked up either one of these bottles, the one that you have in your hand and the one I have in my hand, if it wasn't for Victor. They were I want to say 93.99. And I think there was five on the shelf. One of the guys was there for beer. That was when they dropped their Goose Island, and he was telling me what beers to buy. And then he saw the Widow Jane Decadence, and he'd actually been looking for it. And he's like, "There's no limit." He's like, "I'm buying three of these," and I saw there was two left. I had one in my cart, and Victor's like, "Go get that second one. Get the rest of them," because he said if anything they'll be good for trade thoughter, and you can trade them for bottles you want. But he said it's also just a solid bottle to drink. And now I can agree that this is definitely a solid bottle to drink.
absolutely.
Yeah, this is very pleasant. I like this.
You definitely got a better deal than anywhere around me. Anywhere around me, they want anywhere from 130 to 180.
They have some higher end Widow Janes too. I know they have the 15 year in the case, and I think like an 18 year or maybe a 21 year. I don't know. They have one that's way higher than 15, I believe. But
yeah, they
um,
have the 13 and the vaulted, I believe.
one of them is
Those,
like in the glass case, and I think they wanted $250 for it. And I was like, "Ooh, that's a lot of money." I'm like, "Let me at least try the $93 one that I bought before I go for a $250 one."
I would say if it's within your price range, the vaulted 15 is going like they're not doing it anymore. So they're going doing away with that.
I think only one has sold at my Total Wine. They have several in the back too, and they have plenty more in the glass case. I'm just kind of selective when it comes to spending that kind of money on whiskey, especially something that I've never had before. But with such a pleasant bottle and mouthfeel and taste and flavor profile of the Decadence, if it's anything similar to that, I'd probably be on board.
yeah, I haven't tried any of the other ones. This is the only one I was really interested in trying.
Who distills
Um,
this?
well, it's the New York distillery up there.
Okay,
But if I remember correctly, they were bought out by Evan Hill.
okay, because it
I,
says
I,
this is bottled
I
by
don't.
Widow Jane Distillery in Brooklyn, New York, but I didn't know like.
Yeah, I think they got bought out by Evan Hill. Might want to check that, but
Okay. Might
um,
might be some news or some information
I know
for
they sold.
if they sold. That might be some news and some information for future releases. Might change availability. Might change price and proof.
I'm not sure if Widow Jane distills any of their own stuff quite yet. There might be something like Bardstown where it's more of a blending house than it is a distillery.
Which is fine. I mean, I've made some personal infinity bottles and decanter bottles where I do blends of bottles that I currently have, and as long as you have someone that's got a good nose and palate and taste, I don't think there's anything wrong with a blended whiskey. I know it
Absolutely.
makes it difficult for you to say that it's a bourbon because once you start blending, it's like you can't really label it as a bourbon anymore. But
I mean, you got places like Barrel that are known for blending, and they do an excellent job of it.
absolutely, I've only had one from Barrel. It was their like silver label, their Dovetail. I had a sample of that. I wish I don't think I was doing videos at the time when I tried that, but that one was an absolute banger. He sent me like three samples of scotch, and he sent that Dovetail, and I was just super impressed with it. So that was definitely exciting. I get a lot of samples now. Every day in the mail, I'm getting something new.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like my sample box, holds 36 in there, and I've got probably about 12 sitting out here on my desk because they don't fit in there anymore.
I have
Getting
four
a little bit
samples that
addicted.
are unopened, but everything else has been opened and at least sampled, if not finished off. Like the three pours that we did last night, I finished all three of those pours, and I had 2 ounce pours of each. I drank 6 ounces last night from three fantastic bottles. You hadn't even touched that one. That's crazy.
So, this is the one I didn't touch.
This Widow Jane Decadence is very, very phenomenal. At $93 price point. I understand, Aaron. You said around your area it's like 130.
About
Okay,
you
Victor's
know
not
some
that far from me, so his price is probably right around the same as mine. Maybe a couple dollars more.
105.
Yeah, so like about $10 more. So that makes sense. Because you're far west Texas, out in I say out in the middle of nowhere. Out of all the towns in the middle of nowhere, that one has a little bit more going on than the other towns out west. But here in the Metroplex area, I mean, the Total Wine I shop at, I try not to record too much in there because Total Wine, for whatever reason, they don't like people recording in there. And that's one of the stores I don't want to piss off because they are the highest volume store, at least in the DFW Metroplex, if not the entire area of Texas for that specific Total Wine that I go to. It's like 7 minutes from my house. And they have crazy stuff. I don't know if you saw me post it, Aaron. I got an Elijah Craig 18 that was just sitting in their glass case, and it was like a Wednesday night at like 5:30, 6 o'clock p.m. And they had like four of them. So I was like, absolutely, we're gonna try to keep on good notes with them. Plus, we've got other crazy allocated bottles from waiting in line for them. So
Yeah, from what you were telling me, that was a great snag. That's definitely. I think you said 150 or something
yeah,
like
yeah, it
that.
was 149.99. I have the receipt right here. Um, I paid. I actually used my. I had a coupon for them, so I got a little bit money off. But it was 149.99. So let me grab my phone if it's right here. Yeah. Sorry, we can't do math on the fly because we're not that smart right now. 149.99 times 1.0825 because that's our tax rate. It came out to be $162.36 after taxes. I could have given you off the receipt, but I bought other stuff while I was there, so like obviously I'm gonna have to calculate the tax separately. So I want to say about 200 to 225 is like the going rate for Elijah Craig 18 on secondary. That's pretty consistent. And I've seen it as high as 250 on secondary. So I think finding it at what I would say MSRP is, I could be wrong. I think 149 is MSRP on that bottle though. It's a
Okay.
fantastic pickup, but I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for subscribers sending me a sample of it because I had never had anything more than just the small batch, and then I had some samples. The video hasn't been posted yet, but I did the small batch, the C923, which was my first barrel proof, by the way, from Elijah Craig. I've had their private selections, but I don't count those. They're not quite the same as the yearly release barrel proofs. And then I had the 18. And the 18, even though it's a lower proof, it's just so smooth and so good. It kind of reminds me of this Widow Jane Decadence, just without the maple syrup finish, where it's super easy to drink and it's smooth because I want to say it's 90 proof.
It
Yeah,
is
it's 90 proof. Yeah.
91.
Well, the Widow Jane's 91, but the Elijah Craig's 90, so it's right on a proof point where it's like right there. So
So, what are you getting as far as like a finish on this? Like, you got a medium, a long, short.
it's
How's
pretty
it?
short.
How's
It
it?
dissipates pretty quickly for me. It doesn't really hang around too long. Maybe like minute, 2 minutes. But like with the saliva, I think because of how light it is and because it's a finished whiskey, it doesn't linger that maple syrup flavor like I would probably anticipate. But that's not a bad thing. I don't have to have a long finish to enjoy what I'm drinking. That just means I go back to the next sip a little bit quicker than if I had a longer finish. But it definitely has like a dissipating sugary feel that just kind of slowly drops off as time goes by.
Yeah, I would say this was medium to medium long, um, because like I get this, as soon as that maple syrupy sugary taste kind of fades, that pancakey bready taste just holds on and lingers with a light bit of that sweetness. Like I'm still having some of it right now after just taking that sip just a little bit ago.
I'm
So
actually gonna pour
I
up
would
some more. I've already finished my little rocks glass.
imagine that. Uh, but yeah, so I would say it's about a medium to medium long. So
I've never really
for me,
focused on the back end on the finish, so maybe I'm judging it a little bit too quickly by saying it's short. But for me, it like even right now, I can still feel something that is there, but I couldn't say that it was a finish from a whiskey. It's just kind of like the mouthfeel of, I haven't had anything between now and then. It's still something there, but it's not the same flavor profile. So maybe my judgment on the length of time for a finish is skewed because I've never really focused on it.
well, a lot of people do their finish times off of seconds. And if it's 1 to 2 minutes long, that's definitely a
The
long
longer
finish.
one, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But 15 seconds short. 30 to 45 medium. So kind of like that. Um, but if it's not something that you pay attention to, then I can see how you would definitely,
Kind of write it
not
off and
even
just
really,
like shorten the, yeah.
yeah, just
That's
not
something
even
I'll have to be
thinking
more
about it.
conscious of and talk about. Like that, you said you count typically in seconds, and if you can kind of judge time based on that for short, medium, or long.
That's generally, I'll take
So
a
so
sip
anything
and
like
then
longer than
I'll
like
drink it.
10 or 15 seconds is probably like a medium finish or light medium, and then anything like
Yeah,
after 30 seconds is like medium, and then anything past like a minute's like super long.
yeah. So anything about 15 to 20ish seconds, I consider it, in the short range.
Okay.
Anything between there and about 40 seconds, I consider about a medium, and then anything beyond that, I consider a long finish.
What are you feeling on the finish, Aaron? Maybe you got a more refined palate than I do. I drink all the time, so I kind of drink high proofs and burn the taste buds to where I don't really enjoy some of it sometimes.
I'm in the same boat as you are, Jay. I don't think I haven't had anything hazmat yet. Over 140 proof, but I drink in the higher proofs pretty often. But I think I'm in the same boat as Victor. I think it's more medium.
Okay.
It kind of lingers a little bit, but it's not unpleasant.
Okay. I just don't typically drink for the finish. I guess I should say like the initial like nose because I know part of the tasting is the actual smelling something, and then the initial mouthfeel and the taste as I'm drinking it is the main focus because that's what's going to be front and center. But then you can't write off the finish though, so I get that the finish needs to be important. I should probably include those in some of my reviews because the finish is what you are left with, and that's the last impression you're going to have of that pour or of that bottle. So it is very important because if you have like something that tastes sweet up front but then tastes bitter and dry at the end, like maybe you don't like it because of the finish.
Yeah, I think the finish is, to me anyway, is probably one of the most important parts of it because whenever you're comparing a couple of pours,
Mm-hmm.
that's generally what's going to win one out over the other.
Yeah.
That and the nose, those two seem to be the two things that differentiate, whether I think one pour is better than the other. But it's one of those. The finish is usually where one pour, if I'm doing a flight, things where I can kind of pull one away from the rest of them.
Ah, excuse me. No, this is very pleasant. I'm glad that we have Victor to thank for me picking this up, and then I'm glad Aaron that you wanted to do a trade with me so I could get you this bottle because I had two of them and I had no intentions of opening either one until I found someone that wanted to make some content with me. I mean, obviously new bottles are
Absolutely.
great for content, but me just sitting behind a table doing reviews that gets boring too. So I like doing these little sessions too, especially when we got some new guests to put on here. So thank you guys for participating in this review. It's RJ the Fed signing out. You guys can say good night.
Here's good night. And hope you enjoyed.
Good night, everybody.